We will call to order the Monday, April 28th meeting of the Historic Preservation Commission. Kelly, would you please read the roll?
Alderperson Hanson.
Here.
Jean Hackbarth.
Here.
Patrick Boyd.
Here.
Kathy Octon.
Here.
Mary Ann Schumerth.
Here.
Jane Schuler. Mark Reinhardt.
Mark
Okay.
is out of town.
All right, Mark is excused.
Yeah, he's on vacation.
All right, thank you. Item 2, approval of the minutes of the March 24th, 2025 Historic Preservation Commission meeting. I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second that.
Got a motion by myself, seconded by Jean to approve the minutes. Any discussion? Any corrections from the minutes from last time? Thank you, Jean, for, actually, that was the February meeting you led, or, yeah, but, sorry, January meeting, but, yep. All right, if not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries, thank you. All right, item 3, public comment on matters not on the agenda. Please note that comments made during the public comment period shall pertain only to matters under the jurisdiction of the Historic Preservation Commission. Is there anybody in person or online who would like to speak on something not on the agenda? For the second time, anybody would like to speak on something not on the agenda? Third and final time? I just want to mention real quick, our vice chair, Jean Hackbarth, received this certificate of appreciation recently in recognition of his 11 years of dedicated service to the Wisconsin Association of Historic Preservation Commissions, WAHPC, Board of Directors, as a member, president, and awards committee chairman. So, Jean, we really appreciate your lengthy service on WAHPC. You did an amazing job. Always made sure, they knew what we were doing here in De Pere. Worked on some great projects, and so congratulations on this award and for your service. I know you're still continuing now with the trust, though.
Wisconsin Trust.
Wisconsin Trust, so.
Yes.
Yep. Congratulations, Jean.
Thank you much.
Yep.
Good job, Gene. Congrats.
Okay, item 4, consideration and possible action on the status of 5 projects that HPC members are working on in 2025. Projects include the WAHPC Award nomination, Public Education Program Number 1, Historic Property Designations, CLG Subgrant Facilitation, and Public Education Program 2. Peter, do you want to start us off?
The item that I am working on is item number 4. I have nothing to add from what's in your memo. Just a quick summary: the consultant's work on 127 North Broadway is approximately 30 to 50% complete now. At the time I wrote the report, they were about 30% done. And then just a reminder that there are some things happening at the federal level that are potentially causing chaos with federal grants for projects like this, and I just wanted you all to be aware of that.
Okay.
But that is already in your memo, so I have nothing else to add.
And I know, Gene, you've been in conversation with the property owner at 127 North Broadway. You want to mention that?
Okay. I have sent 3 different emails at various times to notify the property owners that as part of the process of not just the nomination, but being accepted by the state and national levels for historic preservation, for that, they need to go ahead and put together a letter indicating in writing they would approve their building, 127 North Broadway. They would approve their building for listing on the state and national registers. And I have yet to get a response from them. Along with Peter, I've been checking out different resources as well, and hopefully that will be completed very soon with their letter of approval.
Thank you,
Okay.
Gene. Yep. Yeah, I know they've previously indicated to me too that they're interested in applying, and that's why we move forward.
Yeah.
Peter, do we have any letter, like formal letter from them on file at this time, or no?
I have nothing.
Okay.
The form of communication was being done by the Historic Preservation Commission.
Okay.
members.
Okay.
And Peter, am I correct that the company that is doing the nomination is Lerke and Associates? Is that correct?
Uh,
Out of Sheboygan?
if they're out of Sheboygan, it's Legacy Architects.
Legacy. Okay. Yeah, the owner of the business is Jennifer Lerke. I know her, having worked on the WAHPC board with her, so I've tried to make contact through her staff as well. Okay.
Yeah, and then item 1 is the WAHPC award nominations. Gene, do you want to talk about 415, 417 Main Avenue being selected for an award at the WAHPC conference?
Yes. Isn't it gorgeous? They've done a fabulous job.
They have done a fabulous job.
I'd be happy to do so.
Okay.
Thank you. The Wisconsin Association of Historic Preservation Commissions, on an annual basis, has an award program for specific projects that stand out within the state and deserve recognition. And it's my pleasure tonight to present Tom Gavick the Award of Excellence in Restoration and Rehabilitation for 415, 417 Main Avenue, De Pere. Let me tell you a little bit about the project so that when I present the award to Tom, you'll know exactly what it's all about. The nomination deserves this award because, number one, it was built in the early 1900s. Main 415, 417 Main was the home of a local photographer for the last 30 years prior to being purchased and restored during 2024. The first level was a photo studio. The second level was used for storage. Tom Gavick, who is here tonight, bought the building in the summer of '23 and began planning and design that fall with a complete renovation from January through October of 2014. The renovation included doing everything down to the original brick walls and then creating 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom loft on the second level. And they used bookstore and coffee house, wine and beer bar on the first level. It's called Pages and Pours. The second level is called the Loft at 417. The building will now serve as a guest loft for visitors to the area and already has done so, and is a wonderful bookstore gathering spot for the community. Tom purchased the private entities involved and developed the project, worked with the City of De Pere's Economic Development Team to establish development agreements to assist with resources, and also worked with Definitely De Pere's Main Street Program organization to engage a local artist to create the amazing mural on the building. The wow design opportunity was taking out the second level ceiling joists, allowing us to expose the roof joists and create 10-foot to 15-foot ceilings in the loft space. He also decided to expose all the original brick walls, adding a warm and vintage feel to the entire building. Pre-project. The building was owned and operated by a local photographer and is now leased to Pages and Pours, a used bookstore and coffee, wine, beer bar. Conformance with design and preservation standards, the storefront on the north brought back to a more consistent design the original 1900 era. The south side of the building proudly displays an owl-themed mural painted by Andrew Linskens. And I want to hold up for you to just imagine the type of changes that have gone through in this building, as you can see on the monitor there. I want to congratulate Tom and the entire team of people who were involved in this project, and it's now my pleasure if you would come up to present to you this Award of Excellence from WAHPC.
Thanks, Gene.
You're very welcome.
Yeah. Well, thank you for this. First of all, thank you for all the good work that you all do and taking the time to make Pere a special place. Thanks, Peter. For those that don't know me, I'm my wife Jerry and I live in De Pere. We've been here for 35 years. All four of our boys went to school at West De Pere High School. They're all out scattered around the country now. And I run a little business called Credo that works with colleges and universities like St. Norbert College around the country. And been doing that for about 30 years, and I'm coming into my winter season of that, and hopefully we'll be able to continue to invest more time in our downtown. I think for many, many years I flew around the country and would come back home on Friday nights, and then we would enjoy De Pere for the weekends. And so this project is really an example of some of the things that Jerry and I would like to do in our downtown. This building, as you can see the before pictures, and for those that knew it as Martin Photography, Ken Martin was an amazing photographer, but holy cow, did he have a lot of stuff upstairs. So this building, it was fun to go through it, but it took some imagination to say, should this just be torn down, or could we possibly bring this back to life again? So we did a little bit of research on it, reached out to McKim to see if we could find some story about it. And actually with Gene as well, we explored the opportunity of could we even put this on the historic register, and it didn't qualify for that. So we said, okay, if it doesn't qualify down that route, is there another way that we could explore keeping this building and making it work? Because financially it didn't make a lot of sense when you just penciled it out from a development standpoint. So this was going to need to take another track, and so this project would not be possible without the help of our city, development group. I mean, we got some funds for that to invest in this building to help make the ROI make sense. There's no way that the project could have afforded the kind of art display that we were able to really fix up that whole southern facade. I mean, you look at that southern facade, you just go, Tom, tear this building down, because it was in rough shape. And so it was going to take a tremendous amount of care to almost rebuild that south facade. So we really just fixed it up and made sure it was going to be structurally sound. And then Andrew Linskin came in and did his magic on this project. And that mural has now gone viral, across the state. It's been wonderful. And I got to tell you, two things that really make this project special. We initially we bought this building as a opportunity to move Credo out of its location in 301 Main next to Pasquale's and move them down here to 417 so that we could think more holistically for 301 and 305, that whole development at the end of the block. So this was going to be the future home of Credo, and about halfway through the project, Mark and Sherry Hanks reached out and said, hey, Tom, we'd love to tour the building. And it was totally down, it was just down to the skeleton. There wasn't any redevelopment done yet. And they walked through the first level and they said, here's our business concept, here's our idea around a used bookstore, coffee shop idea, and we think this would be fabulous. And I said, well, the only problem is I was going to move my business down here. So we just put a pause on that because Mark and Sherry Hanks have really taken a big risk to come in and start up this bookstore. And if you haven't been there yet, actually this Friday, they're doing the ribbon cutting for Pages and Pours. So at noon on Friday, it's been operating, but it's now going to have a more formal introduction to our downtown.
Nice.
And it's just a wonderful business concept. There isn't really anything like it in the area. So we're cheering them on from the sidelines. We really hope this business will succeed. So far, the response from the community has been fantastic. So Pages and Pours is going to be great. And then when we redeveloped the upstairs, it's just absolutely fantastic. And we said, gosh, we could rent this to one person or a couple people and have them be the only two people that get to see it. And we said, well, that doesn't feel like a really good contribution to our community. And so we're going to open up the upstairs. It's going to be Airbnb, but quite honestly, from what I'm continuing to learn about Airbnb, it maybe ends up being a Packer season kind of thing. We've actually had some amazing guests from all over the country come and stay here so far since the first of the year. But it sits empty a lot. So I'm hoping that there's going to be, we're exploring a couple different strategies to just open it up to the community. Maybe even open it up to Mark. Mark's having a ton of book clubs, coming and wanting to use the bookstore for their book clubs, and he's running out of space. So I said, well, let's explore maybe a book club would want to, book the upstairs or something. But we're going to try to open it up for the community and so the community can really enjoy this building. So that's a little bit about the history of it. Now I need to find a new home for Credo because we really want to move Credo out by the end of this year because we've got some plans. We've just redeveloped the upstairs of Pasquale's into just an amazing loft there as well, which I sent a picture to McKim, and I think, Gene, you saw that. I think I shared that picture with you.
Yes.
It's amazing. I took some plaster off the wall, and there's this amazing old art of a commercial, advertisement that was on the side of 301. 301 stood there for, as you all know, 26 years by itself before Pasquale's was built next to it. And there's some amazing advertisement art that's on the wall that we've exposed in the upstairs loft. So at some point in time, I'd love for, even to be able to send you a couple pictures or something, and you could share it at a future meeting. But that's going to be a fabulous new project as well. And again, a thank you to the city for moving as fast as they did to allow us to get our license for a short-term stay for the draft this last week. So we had our first guests upstairs at Pasquale's as well. So now this next year is going to be a redevelopment of that 301 and 305 end of the block. But this project was the catalyst that allowed us to really start doing that. And it's been a great project, but this would not have happened without the help of the city and definitely to Pere. So a huge thanks to both of them as well. And thank you to Gene for the nomination. And sorry I couldn't be there in person in Racine, but hopefully you had a great meeting.
Okay. Tom, let me just ask you to point out the importance of the right type of paint being used on the outside of brick buildings.
Yeah.
That's a critical thing that lots of people ask me about this building.
Yeah, it's critical. First of all, even before the paint, is making sure we have our mortar set right, so we have a good bones, that we're gonna paint on. But then, yeah, having the appropriate, breathable acrylic, kind of paint that actually goes on, so the paint actually breathes and allows, that we're not capturing moisture, behind the paint.
Right.
So Andrew Linskin, who, boy, I would just highly recommend, he's done a couple other paintings in our downtown.
Sure.
He's actually just recently retired.
Oh,
He's a young guy, but recently retired from UWGB teaching art. And he's now going to do this full time because the demand on his time and opportunities. So he's actively painting all over downtown Appleton, Neenah, De Pere. So he's done a ton of research related to how to best paint on old brick buildings. And he wouldn't even touch the building until we had the appropriate sort of maintenance done, ahead of time. So again, that was definitely De Pere was able to secure some funds, as part of their art commitment to our downtown that allowed this kind of project to happen. And it's fun to be able to be there and watch, especially parents and little kids, walk around the building and just to sort of sit back and listen to them. It's a fun contribution, I think, to our downtown and hopefully an encouragement, for the rest of the neighbors, to put some investment in their properties as well.
and Tom, one of the other things that you had mentioned to me relative to getting the right person to do the mural, Tina Quigley from Definitely De Pere was a good contact for you to get Andrew Linskin's.
Correct.
We applaud her efforts too.
Yeah, definitely De Pere has done, I think we've done a tremendous job in the last 5 years of just, lifting up a sense of creative and art in our downtown. And again, I don't think that would be happening without both Tina's leadership, but also the investment that we're making in Definitely De Pere. So thank you again. Appreciate it.
Well, thank you, Tom.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much, Gene, and thank you, Tom. So that was the WAPAC Award nomination. Project is complete now, so we have that one completed. Does the public education program group have any updates they want to share?
No, we haven't really started yet because Mark has been gone a lot, so
Yeah.
we're the baby steps.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. And then there's public education program 2 that doesn't start until June. And then the historic property designations. That's something that I'll reach out. I think you two are on my committee with that. So, in the past, we've kind of kept going to the same well where we have a list of properties that have already been identified in our survey as being potentially eligible, but they've all received like 2 or 3 letters now. So I think we should start kind of thinking about other options as well. I know we talked about someone like George Street. Since those haven't been sort of researched ahead of time, if the property owner is interested, we would have to submit a preliminary evaluation form to the Wisconsin Historical Society where they can look at it and let us know if they're potentially eligible. So there's going to be a little more work if we kind of go to some new properties, but I think we should probably do that just because, like I said, the other ones we've tried several times now. So,
And I would also add that as an Historic Preservation Commission, we should use the resources that we have available, the 2001 and the 2017 surveys that were completed. In those surveys, there were a number of buildings that still are not yet listed, that were listed as potentially eligible. Those would be the contacts that I would go to first.
Yeah, I think all of them have had a couple letters, but we can look and see kind of how recent some of them were, and if they've, more than a year ago, we could potentially follow up with them again.
Sure.
All right. Anybody else have any other updates on their projects? All right, well, I'd make a motion to receive the update and place on file, and then also mark the WAPAC Award nomination project as being complete.
I'll second that.
Motion by me, seconded by Patrick. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item 5, kind of already jumped ahead, sorry about that, but discussion acknowledgement of the award granted to 415, 417 Main Ave by WAPC. Thank you again, Gene, for putting all that information together. I know the community is very excited that this building has been preserved, and very excited about Pages and Pours, and so very deserving recipient of this award. So,
Also, let me just point out that the building's location is in great proximity to public parking, which is a critical thing,
Yeah.
most especially on the near west side. So that's a plus as well.
yep. Any other comments on 415, 17 Main Ave? All right. And then item 6, discussion about information learned by the Historic Preservation Commission members while attending the April 24th through 25th WAPAC Conference. I don't know if any of us attended that. Anybody attend that? I know it was in, where was it again, Gene?
It was in Racine.
It was in Racine, so.
Yes.
But I know you've gone, many times before, Gene. We appreciate that.
Okay, yes. And let me just point out that I was actively involved in the discussions of who to invite to this state conference. So I know bits and pieces of it. I did not attend the actual program. One of the critical things that came through loud and clear was the number of young people at the college level especially who are doing digital surveys of buildings. It becomes a critical thing, and in fact, you may remember that the church in Paris that burnt down,
Notre Dame.
only 2 years earlier had they done a digital survey of the entire building that enabled them to recreate it, and in some instances actually bring it back to the original look that was there in the beginning. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a critical thing. There are lots of people going through an historic preservation program in the area of digital surveys at University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. And one of the things that I did when I served on the board of directors at Heritage Hill, there was a monument that was built by the inmates at the reformatory, okay, back in 1937. And it was to celebrate the fact that this was the site of the first courthouse in the state of Wisconsin. Heritage Hill hired one of the students from UWM and his lead teacher, Matt Jarris. And they came up and they did their survey. They sent all of the information up to Heritage Hill, and it's been a real blessing for them to know that in the future, there may be other projects also that deserve that type of study, so that future renovation or restoration will follow in the correct path.
Yep.
That was one key element here. There was also a major tour at the Johnson Wax building. one of the things that's very famous about it is their corporate headquarters was designed by Frank Lloyd Wright, and that was on the tour. And in addition to that, one of the other project winners of awards went to a developer out of Milwaukee who took what at one time was Horlick's chocolate factory. They turned it into Bell City apartments and businesses. And it's just a gorgeous setting. I had been there before, so I knew what it would be like to actually see it again. So
Awesome.
those are some of the keys.
Yeah, thank you for that, Gene. Very interesting. All right, and that was just a discussion item, so. Item 7, adjournment.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
We have a motion by Patrick, seconded by Gene to adjourn the meeting. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.